Morning, folks. It's September the 16th. Not sure the time right off the bat, but it's first thing in the morning. I'm at the sand beach in Western Head, looking at that beautiful sunrise. It is gorgeous here today. I can hear the waves. Everything is nice. Well, today's topic, I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about. I think I'm just going to talk about Canada in general and some of the things that are going on right now. There's a lot of people losing their jobs over their comments on social media about the death of somebody. They were happy about it. And the comments were pretty vile. You know, if you claim to be a Christian, or even if you don't, you know, your value should be to respect human life, to honor it, actually. But it leads me into a little bit of a dilemma. Free speech. In Canada, we are supposed to have free speech, right to protest, a right to our religion. I don't agree with what they said, but couldn't that be classified as part of their free speech? I suppose some of them would let go because of maybe their code of conduct. That would make sense. I'm never happy when someone loses a job. You know, they have a family to feed. They have themselves to look after, and in this day and age, that's tough. It's really tough. I get no joy out of seeing somebody lose their job. I know what they've done was wrong, 100%. But what's our society coming to, I guess? You have people that demonstrate and protest downtown Halifax, Montreal, Ontario, Toronto, you know, people that have moved here from other countries, and they're protesting, you know, not all of them, but some of them, you know, death to Canada, death to whoever. Like, that's sad that somebody wishes death on somebody else, no matter how strong their beliefs are. I think it all boils back to God and your view on God. I can't. At one time I could. One time I could be very mean and you know, wish harm on other people. I often said, you know, I may even be able to inflict harm on other people. But since I've changed, I really don't think I could anymore. Which brings me back to the point, you know, who's the ones that make the decisions of, and where's that line drawn in the sand from free speech to hate crime or hate? I heard on this morning, you know, that somebody in Halifax had written some very bad stuff on synagogues there, 3 synagogues. I could see that, you know. They said they were going to charge them with a hate crime and destruction of property and whatever else, I guess. And I think they should. I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but if they didn't write anything on the synagogues, and they didn't destroy somebody's property, if they were out in front protesting, would that classify as a crime for their belief that, and their dislike? I don't agree with it. Or is that their freedom of speech? I'm not the one to answer that question, I guess. They thought about that, what their views were. I'm not, like I said, I'm not condoning anybody. If somebody comes on my page and says they're happy that a certain person has passed away, no, you're not welcome on my page. Or prefer you leave, prefer not to have a conversation with you. The conversation I like to have is, about free speech here in Canada, about things that are wrong here in Canada. Our crime rate is up. Seems awful funny. Our government picks and chooses what they do, what they say. They're not. Doesn't seem to me that they're making a big difference. I think all the politicians are the same. They'll tell you what you want to hear. When the time comes, they don't stand up and do it. So, and I have one more question for my audience, because I seriously wondered this, and no one seems to. I shouldn't say no one. I never really asked a lot of people, but here's the question: if you're a Christian and you pass away and you go to heaven, but your wife wasn't a Christian, or your children weren't Christians, do they go to heaven too? Or are you just up there all by yourself waiting for them to come and to be reunited with them, and it never happens? I wonder that. What's your guys' opinion on that, on God, and whether or not you go to heaven and it's supposed to be a paradise and God's kingdom's supposed to be great? What happens to the ones you leave behind that are not Christian, are not true believers in God? Would you still want to go to heaven? I don't know. It's a question I have asked myself many times, especially since my diagnosis. I think when you get closer to death, people start asking these questions. And I guess really, well, come on. The only time you really get a true answer is when the time happens, and you'll be the only one that knows. But just a question, just wondering to know what my audience thinks. Alright, thanks folks. I'm going to call it quits for now. Hope you guys have a large day. Like, subscribe. This video is raw, real, and unedited. Later.